So as you can see, I marked where the angle begins on my template felt, and I transferred it over to my steel. Pretty easy. Just put it in the vise and bend it. So for the upper cowl panel, I wanted to try and get a good idea on what type of radius we had where the big hole is. You can see the big rusted hole. So basically I put a machinist scale, put any type of straight edge on it that you want, and mark the spot. Kind of see the gap there as it starts. Same thing here. You can see the gap where I marked it. So it looks like the engineers over there at Ford back in the early 70s decided to make a 1-inch diameter or a 1/2-inch radius, and that's what I'm going to put on my patch panel. As for the 1/2-inch radius, it's easy to just clamp your dolly into a vise and just hammer it and work it into the 1/2-inch radius that you need. You could probably get it to around the 30 degree just by doing this. Then basically just clamp it in your vise and bend it over to a 90 degree. Small drain opening was made by just beating it into position. After those first two bends, this is what it looks like. Not bad. Pretty tight. It's a good beginning. Anytime you're going to make a bend on a compounding angle, you have to cut a V into the steel. I figure I'll probably make a cut somewhere along here. It's anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees. You could trig it out if you'd like. So I made my V cut. Now I'm going to bend it anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees. So once you make your bend, it's easiest in this particular situation to just semi-form it while it's in place. So that's pretty good. As you can see, it formed real nice. Good thing about this is if you make your V a little bit too wide, you could always fill it with weld. This is going to overlap, and we'll trim it on the top to make sure there's a nice seam here. Obviously, all these seams will be filled with weld. I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering why I have this rectangular piece cut out of here. That's because I decided to use an original piece of sheet metal for this project that actually came from the car. When I did the floorboards on the car, I took out the seat mounts and I was able to salvage a piece off of the seat mounts that had the original gauge steel. So I made my cut to join all three corners. Cut actually looks bigger than what it really is. If you look at it, it's less than 1/8 of an inch. All of them are less than 1/8 of an inch. So we're just going to have to do a little bit of filler weld. Good thing is it's nice and tight. Fits good. You're going to have some spring. All metal is going to have spring, especially when you're bending it the way we're doing it here. But that's what magnets are for. A lot of people use the sheet metal screws. I probably will too. Just haven't put them in yet. One thing I do want to point out is a lot of you might think, wow, this is, once it gets cut out of there, how's it going to fit? You can imagine though, you've got the thickness of the steel. Once it drops, it's going to be darn perfect. I might put a sheet metal screw right in here and take a chisel and chisel out that corner just to make it a little bit sharper. Truth is, no one's ever going to see it, so depends on how good you want to be with it.